Good evening. Welcome to tonight's broadcast. It is currently November 6th, 1918, and we are broadcasting from our air raid shelter. We are currently on the 42nd day of the Meuse-Argonne offensive, and if what the newspapers say is true, this war will be very over soon. Tonight, we have two guests coming on air, who will be telling us about what has happened in the past, and what do we have to look forward to in the future. Our first guest is famous stallion and cavalry expert, Fletcher Murphy.
Good eve.
Now Murphy, can you explain to me how the cavalry, one of Britain's greatest military strengths, has fared during this war?
Well, as you said, Britain has had one of the mightiest cavalries in all of Europe. Many of the stallions I have raised personally. But I am saddened to inform you that Britain's famous cavalry has not done so well in this current war.
Do, pray tell.
As I'm sure you know, in the early 1910s, everyone knew that a war was brewing. So, me and my fellow cavalry captains got together and we started training horses and men. However, the mechanical demons, such as the machine gun and artillery cannon, have shredded through our horses like butter. The courageous riders and the gallant horses are left on the field shredded with bullets and shrapnel to die. It truly is the death of an era.
Death of an era? What do you mean by this?
I am getting old now, but when I was a child, I remember the older boys going off to fight in the war. They were proud to serve their country. They were going on a great adventure, a grand quest. And if they died, then their family would remember and honor their lives. Now, it is not so. Those men in the legendary British cavalry was what inspired me to work in the stables when I was 7. Yet, I do not think the soldiers of the war today will inspire the soldiers of tomorrow. For I tell you, there are no more glorious charges to win the battle, to win the day. Men storm up out of their trench and get shot down, cut down into pieces by machine gun fire. This they do until they are either completely out of soldiers or they take the other German trench. And if they do take the German trench, what have they gained? A few meters, that's what. It's practically pointless. And if they don't die of machine gun fire, then they die of one of the many other deaths that so await them, whether it's poisonous gas, artillery, disease, maggots, whatever it is. And my horses, my once glorious horses that delivered men into victory and glory and honor, are now suffering and dying, pulling artillery and mechanical death. These machines only bring more pain. And the horses that survive, my stallions, if they survive, will get sold to the local farmers in the area. I hope I get to see one of them again. However unlikely that is. But I hope this shows to you how the glory of war no longer exists. It has been replaced by a shameful tragedy.
That is a lot to take in. Well, anyway, thank you, Mr. Murphy, for coming in tonight. I wish you the best, and I do pray that you reconnect with your horses.
Thank you. And I will now go tend to my horses and leave you to your broadcast.
Our next guest is French farmer turned soldier, Jean-Philippe Lussier. Hello? So, Mr. Lussier, you are a French farmer turned soldier, correct?
Oui, it is correct.
I've heard a lot about the struggles of farmers, especially in France and other places in Europe, during this war. Can you explain what these problems might be?
Oui. In 1914, my family owned a farm on the border of France and Belgium. When the Germans came in their invasion, they took anything and everything they could, from our livestock to our vegetables to our medicine. Me and my brother, we wanted to fight them and protect our land, but our father said no, in fear of what they might do to our family. They came back every few months, taking more and more, whatever they deemed necessary for the war, but whether it was our pots and pans or our stools. By August 1916, my brother had had enough. He assaulted a German officer and they shot him there on the spot. I couldn't cope anymore. I was too angry at the Germans to even think. I left my father and my younger siblings behind, and I went to the front, where I have been for 2 years until my injury a few months ago.
What an incredible story. Since you've been serving on the front for 2 years now, can you verify the distraught conditions that Mr. Murphy spoke of?
I sure can. I've made a lot of friends over the years. I've probably lost more, but what Mr. Murphy says is correct. Men are forced to charge, attack, and endure shellings day in, day out. There was one man I knew who was so shell-shocked that he screamed in agony all night, and during the day he was completely catatonic. It's a shame what the soldiers have to go through, day in, day out. But I have met a lot of kind, good, and brave people, from my hometown in France, to Britain, America, Italy, and even, yes, a few Germans. It is just such a shame that all of us have to go through this endless suffering. I do hope it'll be over soon, for their sake.
Tragedy indeed. You said you've met a few good Germans in your time in the battlefield. I want you to listen to a letter from a British soldier named Julian who is currently fighting in the Somme, and provide any context if you can.
Oui, okay.
The letter reads as follows. A fortnight ago, soon after an intense wave of German shelling, one of my mates, Colin, spotted a horse caught in some barbed wire on the German side of no man's land. We all took a look and felt bad for the poor creature, but then Colin, waving a white hanky, stepped out of his trench and proceeded to walk towards the horse. When he got to the horse, he met a German man named Peter, who had brought some cutters to help the horse free. Realizing that they needed more cutters, the Germans threw several cutters over their trench, and Colin and Peter freed the horse. Colin brought it back to our line, and it was a beautiful stallion. Mr. Lussier, does this remind you of any specific events that you perhaps experienced?
Oui. A British soldier I met once told me of the unofficial Christmas truce of 1914, when Germans, English, and French alike all got together and celebrated Christmas. They had tea, ate bread and meats, and had a splendid time to quote him. I have met a few good Germans, from time to time. Some were POWs that I met after we captured them. Others were medics that I met when we called the occasional truce to clear bodies and wounded from the battlefield after a gruesome charge.
Those are some incredible stories. Thank you for sharing them with us.
I am just glad that there are some good stories and people who are still persevering in this time of suffering.
Amen. That is all the time we have for tonight. Please keep these soldiers in your thoughts and prayers, and buy war bonds to directly support them. We'll be back next week with hopefully some good news. Stay safe, everyone, and do what you can to help. Good night.